Welcome to Daily Life Connection, our video talk time as we continue to explore who God is and how He works and how He relates to us and what difference that makes in how we live out our daily lives. I don't think many of you are probably old enough to remember a group called the Contours in 1962, uh, but they had a song out called Do You Love Me? That song you probably remember. I'm not going to attempt to sing it for you. Do You Love Me? And it was a number one song for them, I'm told. So yeah, it was right when I was just preteen, and so those songs in those days I still remember well. Do you love me? That's the question that has to be answered. That's the most important question. And in any relationship, that's the important question, isn't it? It's the question that Jesus asked Peter in John chapter 21. Peter, do you love me? And he wouldn't let go of that, would he? I mean, here's Peter who failed the theology test because he didn't get it right who Jesus was and how Jesus was going to accomplish his mission. He denied Christ, he cursed and swore, he ran away, he just failed in every possible way. But when Jesus got back together with him in John chapter 21, he doesn't say, now, Peter, have you got your theology all straightened out? Peter, do you think you're firm in your faith now? Do you think are you committed enough that you won't back out on this? No, Jesus asks him one thing three times. Do you love me, Peter? Do you love me, Peter? Today, that leads me in looking at who God is to sort of this question. How right do we have to get things in order to be included in God's protection and blessings? How right do I have to be in order for Him to strengthen me and walk with me through this dark time that we're all in here in our whole world, actually? Do I have to be Baptist right? Maybe do I have to be Pentecostal right? Do I have to be Catholic right? Do I have to be Eastern Orthodox right? You see, the reality is only Jesus got God completely right. He's the only one who fully knew the Father. He said, I'm the only one who knows the Father, really knows the Father. But you can get to know Him as I reveal Him to you. And I think this is why it's so important that we see God through that Jesus lens that we've been talking about. To value every concept that we have in the light of who Jesus is and what He said and how He lived. That's the right that we need to get, a right understanding of who our Father is and how He relates to us. I believe Jesus made it clear we don't have to ace the test, the theology test, to be under God's divine love and protection. In fact, many of the ones that Jesus offered Himself to fully and completely were people who didn't get it at all. Now, I think it's wonderful to study theology and doctrine and all that sort of thing. But if it gets in the road of our love relationship with God, then it has become a distraction to who God is, not a revelation of who He is. We don't have to get it right, perfectly right, in order to be in relationship with Father. David got some things wonderfully right. And if you read the Psalms, there's some wonderful revelations in it. But if you read the Psalms, you'll also find there's some bad misunderstanding of who God is in some of the things that David thinks that God does and God partners with. But David was a man after God's own heart, we read in the scriptures. Again, if we think that we've got to get it right, then we're going to live in that fear of punishment, aren't we? Thinking if we don't do it right, get it right, be right, God will punish us or at least withhold His blessings from us. I hope that we understand that's Zeus, not God. That's the understanding of the Greek gods, and somehow it has crept into the theology of the church over the years, and our God has become almost more a Greek god Zeus, who's out there watching to catch us at any little thing that we do wrong and withhold His blessings or hurl thunderbolts or lightning bolts at us. That's not the God that Jesus revealed to us at all. In fact, that's not even the God revealed to us in the Old Testament, because we read that way back, one of the first things God said, the great commandment is love God. Love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love Him. Relationship. That's what God is after in us, not passing a theological or a doctrinal test or even a performance test of righteousness. It's all about relationship. Do you love me? Do you love me? That was Jesus' question to Peter. That's God's question to your heart and to mine. We can love Him without fully understanding who He is. We can love Him because we see Him in Jesus, and it's easy to love Jesus. So if it's easy to love Jesus, it's easy to love God. Because if you've seen Jesus, you've seen the Father. That's good news for us today. How right do you have to be? If you love Him, that's right enough. God bless you. We'll talk again tomorrow.